Eagle 6 in the track.
Roger.
Viper 1 bombs away. 1's going to climb high above 20. You're south.
Eagle 6 radar contact. Eagle 6 is visual.
And it goes left.
Well, hello and welcome back to the DCS SITREP, the news show on all things DCS World, which is the premier combat flight simulator for the home PC. The game is brought to you by Eagle Dynamics, and once again, I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, back after a short absence. If you were unaware, I travelled back to New Zealand to visit family and friends. I went to Hobbiton, the movie set for The Hobbit and also Lord of the Rings, and recharged for a short while. While I was away, it looks like, well, quite a few things happened for DCS World, some of which raised some questions. So we'll take a look at some of these topics, including the arrival of the Chinook. This week, Aviastorm provided an update on work that they've been doing on the Tornado, which was pretty exciting. So let's begin with that topic.
Rollout reference 040, stand by for targeting.
It's been 50 years since the first Panavia Tornado took to the skies on the 14th of August 1974 in Manching, Germany. I got to thinking about that timeline. 50 years, really, when you think about it, it's a pretty amazing development for flight, because the first flight was 1903 with the Wright brothers. 70 years later, they were launching the Tornado. So the massive improvement in the development and production of aircraft really is kind of a remarkable thing. And here we are 50 years later, and aircraft launched in the 70s are still flying around. So this aircraft development marked the culmination of years of rigorous design and engineering efforts by three European nations, United Kingdom, Germany, and Italy. The Panavia Tornado was destined to redefine modern warfare and aviation for decades, according to the Eagle Dynamics blurb here. The 50th anniversary of the Tornado's first flight was not just a celebration of a remarkable aircraft, but a commemoration of spirit, innovation, and resilience. It was a reminder that when nations come together with a shared vision, they can achieve extraordinary things. And of course, we saw this similarly with the magnificent Concorde aircraft as well, which was a British and French cooperative venture. Now, the last 18 months of work on the flight model for the Tornado has seen the inaccuracies of the transonic aerodynamics resolved. Good news there. Aviastorm has worked on fully simulating the unique flight characteristics of all wing swing positions. The module's aerodynamic model is matched with a detailed recreation of the mighty RB199 engines, which also power the electrical and hydraulic systems. The team have also simulated the generator electrical loads and the hydraulic pressures required to move the flight control surfaces and other mechanical systems. Modeling of the complex flight controls and control and stability augmentation systems, or CSAS, is now the biggest task still remaining to ensure correct aircraft handling, ready for comprehensive flight testing. So there's still quite a bit of work to do here, folks. Accuracy is important to mimic the unique flight performance and characteristics of this complex variable geometry aircraft. 3D model is nearing completion, and they are delighted to share these work-in-progress pictures or screenshots of the first flight livery for us. It's a very promising update on a very, very popular aircraft, which will slot in nicely among the stable of aircraft we currently have from that Gen 4 collection. What we don't know with regards to this information is how long it'll be before we see it in the game as an early access module of some kind. Remember that the flight modeling is among the more complex features to pull together and needs time to mature and test among a variety of flight regimes, including landing configurations, with and without stores, so on and so forth. And in this case, as was mentioned, the Tornado has a swing wing configuration too, which, similar to the F-14 from Heat Blur, adds some complexity to the modeling calculations and testing processes. So it's good to hear the team talk and discuss about the progress that they've made in this area as a benchmark, but really it's too early to put ballpark completion dates out there. going to have to be a little bit more patient. Having said that, I'm actually pleasantly surprised at the progress that they have made and the images that they were sharing. I actually wasn't expecting anything quite so tangible from this particular project. Not that I had doubts that they couldn't do it or anything like that, but I didn't really expect it to be quite as far along as it is based on the information that they've shared thus far. So overall, it's really good news. Let me know if you agree in the comments section below if you're looking forward to seeing this aircraft. Naturally, I really am. It's a very exciting project and one that's going to be, as I said, welcome to DCS World. So stay tuned for more information as it comes to hand on that.
MiG 1, confirm the HAV is southeastbound now. The HAV is southeastbound. Your OCA threat now 0408, 24,000 hot, north of the radio, 27 DME. MiG 1, no WES on the HAV, tally the Eagle engaged. Request clearance across the Bino. Cleared across.
Well, let's turn now to the release of the Chinook, the CH-47F, or Foxtrot, which happened while I was away. So I was very pleased to see it finally dropped in the game after a delay. Remember that the release was delayed due to issues ED was having with stop bugs as part of a major patch, which also included things like the air boss station and the Afghanistan map. Now, aesthetically, the helicopter looks absolutely fantastic, both inside and out. So let's take a look at what ED has supplied us with regards to information about the early access release. The features they say are as follow. We are looking here at 3D models, so they're highly detailed. External and internal modeling, including cockpit and cargo hold. Fully interactive VR-ready cockpit. I must say it is really good in VR. Highly detailed pilots and animations. Third-person view at this time, US Army paint schemes, avionics and other features, unmatched helicopter flight dynamics that only DCS can provide, basic trim system and AI helper, high-level multifunction displays or MFDs, a VSD page, an HSD, full or half pages with digital map support, engine and powertrain full and half pages, fuel full and half pages, flight plan summary page, the WCA, radar warning, RWR and pilot control countermeasures, dispenser system with chaff and flares, the common missile warning system, integrated ARC 186 radio with voice chat, base night vision goggles, multi-crew, we have AI side gunners equipped with M60D machine guns, base multi-crew for online games including pilot, co-pilot and 2 side gunner stations, cargo, there is an ability to load and unload cargo, which I haven't checked or tested yet, from the internal bay based on weight and volume, single point sling loading, supporting the new DCS warehouse to warehouse cargo transferring feature, early access manual, and quick action missions and some training missions. So a reasonable list of things to at least get you up and running, but of course there are many features that have yet to be implemented, which is expected with an early access model. So things that they are planning to do during the early access period, the 3D modeling, they want to complete the pilot and co-pilot models for the first person view, obviously more paint schemes, avionics and other features, the DAFCS, basically the flight control system, trim system and force trim, autopilot hold models, completed MFD pages, full support of the night vision goggles, a heads-up display system, engine fire extinguishers, and EAPS system. For multi-crew, they want a second crew member that can be another player or the AI, flight engineer function on different stations, gunner on the ramp, different machine gun models for side and ramp gunners, really exciting. I'm presuming that's going to mean miniguns. Cargo, we're talking multi-point sling systems, and the extended range fuel system, ERFS2. They want to complete the manual, so it'll be a full manual, extra training missions, and additional missions. Really cool. So during the past few weeks, they have spent quite a bit of time improving visuals and functionality for the early access launch. They have also been able to provide training and instant action missions aimed to help you get in the air in record time. So it's difficult to give a factual assessment of aircraft like this that are in early access and ones that are still in development or where there are things to implement. I did hear some negative feedback about the aircraft, so I actually was expecting the worst when I came back and downloaded it. There are quite a few doomsday merchants and naysayers out there who always paint everything in well, permanently terrible shades of grey when it comes to DCS and Eagle Dynamics right now. So I was worried that ED maybe had dropped the ball in releasing it, especially when there were a couple of other hiccups with the Sinai map update and also Reflected Simulations MiG Killers campaign. So I thought, oh boy, here we go. What has ED done? Well, no. In fact, I was actually very impressed with the visual rendering aspects of the aircraft, both internally and externally, as I said. These are extremely realistic looking and have gotten better and better as the game has evolved over the last few years. I was using it with the Pimax Crystal Light in VR, so I was having no trouble running the game in VR. It's particularly useful in VR, really fun in VR, as you can crank your neck around and you can see those different run-up buttons without necessarily having to jump to the second seat. Now, if you're looking for a professional endorsement of the quality ED has poured into this module and whether or not it's realistic, I would urge you to check out 47 Driver's YouTube channel. Now, he indicated he is an active duty 47F pilot and had very positive things to say about the module and also DCS World. He did stress, and this is something which seems to come up in general discussion, that there are some flight control systems not implemented, as we saw in the blurb from ED, which make the aircraft a little bit harder to fly in the sim, and he recommended that ED prioritize those to make it really fly like the real one, and I quote there. So Wags responded in one of his videos and said, yep, those will be priority, and that's basically to do with the assisting or automatic flight control systems, which make the aircraft a little bit easier to fly. I think the Black Hawk has similar kinds of systems which make it very easy to fly compared to older, more analog helicopters. So either way, those issues, if you like, or those features being a priority is good news. I'm looking forward to seeing further develop in that area. I'm also always thrilled to see real pilots, current or former, giving assessment of the modules that we have in game, as I really think, again, this is a better litmus test and endorsement of a product in terms of accuracy and therefore the value of the module in terms of whether or not you should be buying it, what you can get out of it, and also for information. Often these pilots will share some of the procedural techniques for basic operation of the aircraft. Obviously, they're not going to give away tactical secrets without getting into serious trouble, but it's still a very, very useful way of getting to grips, if you like, or understanding that these modules are good enough that real pilots kind of sanction and endorse. I've said this thing before, and that's a really good way of at least being aware that the products that ED are producing are worthy of real pilots wanting to fly them for fun mostly, and to share some of the knowledge that they have in flying and operating these aircraft in a manner that they were intended, which is really cool. Now, ED exists in a complex ecosystem right now with regards to PR in particular, following some issues with RASBAM, obviously. So it is highly pleasing to have someone endorse both the game and the module that ED is producing, validating all of that hard work, and I think that must be very, very pleasing for the company. Now, I'll post a link to 47 Driver's YouTube channel below. Give him a sub and a like. I'm sure he'll appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see some more videos from him to help us get to grips with flying this really exciting aircraft. Now, as he did indicate, it is a little tricky right now to fly in certain regimes, and I haven't quite mastered managing the transition between flight and hovering maneuvers for landing, which is a typical area of trickiness for helicopters in general. But heck, I've only spent about an hour or so in the aircraft, and that's not really mastery level for practice. So the helicopter is going to prove popular, I think, with players looking for logistical operations for flying. That's why the C-130 has been very popular in terms of it being released here sometime in the future as a full fidelity module rather than just an unofficial module, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to seeing more progress on the Chinook as a module with missions and campaigns down the line, and that's going to provide a lot of fun and a growing segment really of DCS world regarding helicopters and also logistical gameplay, so stay tuned for more.
Big 5, MiG 4 is south 130 for 63 doing. Big 5. 1 for time, you're dead, MiG 1's dead. MiG 1, relay for showtime, you're dead, MiG 1. MiG 1's dead.
Now, as I mentioned before, the Afghanistan map came out, and several of the maps in the game got a little bit of love following that last patch. One was South Atlantic, again by RASBAM. They have redone Port Stanley Airfield and they've made minor model fixes across the library, which is really cool. They also improved map performance by reducing the video memory required for minimum textures, which is really neat. Prior to Afghanistan, of course, we had the Kohler map by Orbix. They have done a lot of work and continue to do work on this map. They have added new airfields, Kallax Airfield, Kirkenes Airfield, and Vidsel Airfield. They've added infrastructure around new airfields and various other places in Sweden. They've added enhanced imagery around some of the new airfields. They have updated several things, including renaming BAS 100 to, and I'm going to bastardize this, but Vujavi textures have been updated, and they've had a reduction in map space requirement, which is good news. They fixed the Bodo ILS, which has been corrected. They've adjusted tree placement at UMO XLMV BAS 100. They have also fleshed out Jokkmokk so that it's no longer abandoned with a rudimentary parking area until the airfield is redone. Now, the Sinai map, which we mentioned before, got a pretty big update, and this included 15 new airfields and unique scenes. I'm going to bastardize these names, so I won't read them all out, but as I said, there are 15 new airfields. They added military installations of Egypt, northern and southern camp, and military bases on Israel. They added unique objects and architectural monuments, industrial facilities. There's more than 100 pieces. They've added more typical scene objects like yachts and towers. They've added 2 types of acacia bushes for the south of Israel. They added vector data and zones for new airfields, places under unique objects, and they've added oil platforms. They have improved city textures and assets. There's now new, more realistic seabed textures. They've added parking slots for the F-35 and hangars for Israel airfields. They've improved scenes for helipads. They've improved night illumination of unique objects. They've improved the pyramids of Giza and the tombs around the pyramids. They've improved trees on mountains in Israel, and they've improved ground textures so there's more color variety. They fixed bugs from users and beta testers, more than 100 of them. Now, Sinai is one of my favorite maps. The work around Cairo and the sewers is really well done, I must say. It's been really fun to see this map get improvements. Very pleasing indeed. The update did not go without controversy, unfortunately, as parts of northern Israel were effectively deleted in that patch update, sparking a degree of outrage from community members. The long and the short of it was that this was done in error, and the missing portions have largely been restored, although there are still some to correct yet that will come in a later patch. Now, I spoke to Honorary Tech, who wanted to pass on again to the community his sincere apologies for the mistake and advised that this won't happen again, which is good news. The map is looking really good, and the features that have been added are really cool. I love the amazing details like the balloons over Cairo, but there are many other cultural and historical sites that are also plugged into the map, remember. One of the ways you can see all of that is user CFrag has recently updated his Sinai tourist map mission. If you'd like to get better acquainted with the various sites, which right now has an additional 100 new attractions, with the tour director able to direct you around to these various things. So I'll post a link to the mission download page from the DCS user file directory for you in the description below if you're looking for that.
MiG 2, spike range 23, threat 03023, 17,000.
MiG 1 still removing out from field.
MiG 2, threat 030, 17,000.
Now, while we speak of emissions, remember it was also revealed that Reflected's MiG Killers wasn't initially released in the big patch accompanying the Chinook. That has since been rectified, and I had a little play with the first mission last night. That looks like a pretty exciting campaign. Remember, this is an historically based Top Gun training school campaign that he created for the Phantom II, which is by Heat Blue Simulations. It is set on the Nevada map, so you're going to need both that map and also Heat Blue's Phantom II, but Reflected has done a lot of research to flesh out the Navy's real concerns that they had during Vietnam, in which the art of dogfighting had been lost and kill ratios plummeted. US pilots found themselves in a really dire situation, in part because of the dogma surrounding the theories of bombing to win campaigns and the evolution of missile technology, which was believed to render knife fighting with guns that we saw in World War II and Korea become obsolete. Well, these theories also dictated aircraft design, role and purpose, and a real struggle was going on behind the scenes regarding bombers versus fighters as the way forward for aircraft technology. Well, Vietnam proved that dogfighting was very much still a need because missiles miss or malfunction, leaving pilots in a skill deficit against their MiG counterparts. So fortunately, the work at Top Gun restored that lost knowledge and produced some of the world's best fighter pilots. The program was made famous, of course, in a certain 1986 movie and turned a certain naval aircraft into a star also, but none of that was possible almost 2 decades later without the pioneering work started in 1969. So that last big patch saw a number of fixes and improvements, including 2 numerous aircraft such as the Phantom II, which is still in early access, remember, as well as the Mirage F1, which is similarly in ongoing development, and a host of other aircraft as well. If you're looking for more specific information about a particular aircraft that you enjoy flying, well, do check out the changelog for more information. I will post a link in the description below. Well, it's an interesting time in DCS world, and it has been for a while. And of course, with the MiG Killers being dropped off the list of modules and with the issues with Sinai, it wasn't long before people started in on the conspiracy theories and accusations of ED's malfeasance. I said earlier this year, even before the RASBAM thing and conflict around that this was going to be a very challenging year for ED, managing all of the projects in the pipeline for 2024. And I still maintain that they have a lot going on right now, which I suspect is stretching their ability to keep abreast of everything. Remember that they did admit previously when they tried to integrate the Afghanistan map with the Chinook, they overstretched themselves. And I think that's one of the key issues that we're seeing a little bit, and it's something that I predicted because of the number of projects in the pipeline. And then there are the delays with things like the Phantom F4, which again compounds issues as they go down the line. The Sinai thing, though, was described as an internal error with Henri Tech, and so it's not tied into the complex web of project management itself. It's not clear why exactly the MiG Killers wasn't released, but again, I think it is largely to do with project management and other distractions. Could be part of the many challenges that ED is facing right now with all of the things that it's trying to achieve in 2024 and beyond. Remember that they still have the MiG-29 in the pipeline. We still have expanded slots of Afghanistan's map to add. There's work on the Chinook, which is ongoing as it's in early access. We still have Iraq coming. We have existing module improvements, things like the sniper pod, blah, 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 and managing the third-party modules as they come online as well, which need to be quality assured and tested and then approved before they can be injected into the game. Delays there can have delays elsewhere, like I indicated. We're also expecting core engine improvements such as Vulcan API, which Nick Gray indicated was probably a wee way off. We may not get that in 2024. That is still being worked on, as well as the long development process and high demand for the module that is going to be the dynamic campaign. If it's going to be a separate module or if it's going to be part of the free thing, we're not quite sure yet, but there's a lot going on that ED is trying to manage. And the community has high demands for quality products. We're not going to be satisfied with half-working things or substandard stuff. And when you have very, very competent third-party developers like HeatBlur, which has led the way this year in proving how far the quality of modules can be pushed, even with the issues they had to resolve to support the UI components that they introduced, I suspect this is pushing the boundaries of expectation among the community members right now and certainly raises the bar for all other modules being introduced into the game post Phantom 2 as well. HeatBlur are injecting a lot of improvements into their existing modules, thanks in part to lessons learned from producing the Phantom 2, the F-14, for example, receiving more updates just in this last patch in terms of sound effects and other things alone. So we're not out of the woods yet, unfortunately, for issues. Unfortunately, we have to recognize that the issues that are ongoing with the F-15E status and RASBAM are not resolved. I respect the disappointment and concerns people have over the future of that module and also RASBAM's other modules and what it could mean for DCS. So fingers crossed that those issues are resolved.
Big 2, pitch back weapon 070, stand by your target. MiG 3, reference 070 to avoid the target area. Target the Eagle 050 for 16,000.
Well, thanks for sticking with me this week. I actually do have a pretty heavy cold thing going on, really sore throat, so I apologize for the quality of this recording. My voice has been a little bit off. But this wraps up, I think, an overview of the last few weeks away. I did spend that wonderful time in New Zealand. It was great to catch up with family. The highlight was going to Hobbiton, which was even better than I expected. The break was great to recharge the batteries, although I have to say I'm a little jet lagged still, trying to get my schedule back and my eating schedule back on track. But it's been nice to focus on other things for a little bit. But I must say it's been fun to come back and get back into some DCS again and see where things are at and see where the community's at. And I'm looking forward to, I guess, more modules coming out, more resolution to some things going on, and the franchise kicking on in a positive way. So thank you for the support, the likes, and the subs lately. It really does help support the channel. Thanks to all the regular viewers who comment and like and share and all the rest of it. It really does help the channel chug along. So we'll see you next time on the DCS SITREP real soon.
MiG 3, spike range 12, target area is north 3. MiG 2, continue 080 to avoid the target area. MiG 3, threat 050 for 9, and MiG 2, target 070 for 15,000. Still time for 2 low guys up, 3 get a lot.
MiG 1, 3 is south of me now by 8 miles.
That's affirmative, 21,000, MiG 4 and 5 are in trail ahead 2 miles.
MiG 1.
MiG 1, 4 and 5 already pushed over to Victor 16. MiG 4, MiG 1, contact now